Leonard Sweet here, coming to you from Denton, Texas, the home of Snarky Puppy, where they started, and the home of one of my best friends, Landrum Level. And I've been here for a O2 Network prophetic conference, and I've had just a great time. And we are now February 4th, if you can believe it, 10 days away from Ash Wednesday, which is also Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, here in 2024. This is my 198th LenTalk. I hope you've been enjoying. I posted Aqua Church videos. Did these in 1999, and they began to be published. They were published all at one time, early in 2000. This is like 3 years before Rob Bell's Pneuma, and I don't know whether he got inspired by these or whether he just, creatives have parallel tracks and sometimes they talk to one another, sometimes they don't learn from one another. I don't know what happened here, but he marketed his, we didn't market ours. So I thought I'd resurrect these for you, have you enjoy them. They were meant to accompany my book, Aqua Church, which is part of that trilogy of Soul Tsunami, Soul Salsa, and Aqua Church. At any rate, I hope you have been enjoying them, and they're there. You can see I look a little different than now, but it's a few years ago. The reading for this week, the February 4th, the 5th Sunday in Ordinary Time, the Sunday that is getting us ready, if you will, for the Lent that's coming after Ash Wednesday. I wanted to do the Mark reading, the Gospel reading. And it's the story of Simon's mother-in-law. And it's important to understand that this story with Jesus healing Simon's mother-in-law, the first woman to appear in Mark's Gospel. And it's important to remember that this is not the story, the healing that prompted Peter to become an apostle and a disciple of Jesus. It was the fish story when Jesus says, cast your boat into the deep and let your nets down again after a long night of catching nothing. And they just believed Jesus enough, and that was the healing of the bulging nets. And that's the healing, the miracle story that prompted Peter's apostleship. Not this one, but this is a fascinating story. I love this story. First of all, you have mothers-in-law reminding us that everybody lived in an extended family. You didn't have a section here for one family. When your kid reached an age of accountability and marriage and economic independence, you didn't send them off and say, it's time to fly the coop. You built a structure right there. You expanded your little compound. And so everybody's living together, sharing a common kitchen often. And the first thing that Simon's mother-in-law does after Jesus heals her is to get up and feed Jesus some food. Now, you can do a lot with that. I may come back at that at the end, but I love this. Her first reaction is not celebration. It's not worship. It's kind of a paying it forward of this gift, but it's also a recognition that Jesus is a foodie. He's hungry, and he needs food. If Jesus is around, you better have some food around. Come unto me, all you labor. And Jesus gives us rest and serves us food. And here we have Jesus being served food. Then it says, at evening, at sundown, they brought to him all who were sick or possessed with demons, and the whole city was gathered around the door. This is Capernaum, Jesus' world headquarters now. And just everybody's crowded. And they just brought all the sick, but it highlights the demons here. And has this marvelous little phrase, he would not permit the demons to speak because they knew him. They knew him. Why does Jesus silence the demons? Why does he mute their mouths? And this has been hotly contested. I think for me, it's pretty obvious. They recognizes his true identity. They knew him. In other words, Jesus did not want his full identity as Messiah to be revealed by demons. This is not a good introduction to his messiahship. And he wanted faith in him and in his mission to come from sources other than demonic testimonies. And this phrase, "they knew him," is a very interesting one. We spent a lot of time on it, I'm not going to. But they knew him in a supernatural way, but Jesus did not want them revealing who he was in that supernatural way. You have to silence demons to maintain control. And demons are chaotic, destructive forces. And you see this demonic chaos and destruction at work in our world today. And by silencing them, Jesus provides a space for healing to take place and for restoration and renewal, and not fear, confusion, chaos, collapse. And the idea of silencing them also, demons are known for bearing false testimony. They were known for deceit. They were known for deception. And Jesus didn't want deceit, deception, and false testimony to be the source of who he was. So I think all of this is caught up in why Jesus, the writers here, both in Luke here, but here in Mark, emphasize the relationship Jesus has with trying to create a space for healing to take place and removing the demonic elements from it so that healing and restoration so shalom can invade and take over. Now, one more thing, I can't get over this mother-in-law, and I'm not going to do any mother-in-law jokes here, but the mother-in-law living and eating and serving Jesus and whoever else was with him. Once again, and this happens so often, it just happens so often in the Gospels, you just take it for granted and it becomes like a cadence that just you expect, but we need to stop and pause and realize how important this food cadence is. The importance of food and eating together as a community for the establishment of a sense of who you are, especially for us as Jesus' disciples. Remember, this Lord's Supper is a remembrance meal. We now know that the same brain mechanisms, neural pathways that enable you to remember things are the same ones that enable you to visualize the future. So, walk down memory lane is also a prophesying your way forward. There's this connection between leaning back and kicking forward, the swing metaphor, if you remember that. And that's why I'm a historian and a futurist at the same time. You remember the past, and they strengthen your muscles, your mental muscles, so you can understand and carpe mañana, seize the future. But it takes place around a meal. Remembering takes place around a meal. Life takes place around meals. The importance of meals. And Jesus has a meal ministry. His teaching mostly takes place at tables. He doesn't have a pulpit, a lectern. Even when they brought the scroll in the synagogue, it was spread out at a table. You stood behind a table. And this is the food of God that you are opening up and serving to people. And there's a recent book that just came out called The Genius of Israel by Dan Senior, and I can't remember the other guy that co-wrote it with him. But they're dealing with, and this is written before October 7th, but they're dealing with what is the secret of the fact that on every metric, Israel, this little country of 9 million people, scores off the charts. I don't care whether it's life expectancy, it's skyrocketing. I don't care whether it's infant mortality, it's plummeting. That what scores some of the highest, I think it's the 4th highest in the world in terms of test scores for children. Everything there is getting better. Everything that they're doing is getting better. It's about worldwide tech center. It's a Silicon Valley in and of itself. The mental disease is you don't have homeless, you don't have mental sickness is low. It's not, suicide rates are some of the lowest in the world. What in the world is going on here to make this little country have such big metrics? And I deal with the whole book, The Tablet of the Table, the whole mystery of Jewish achievement, and that's a whole other tributary of this. But I just want to focus on what Dan Sr. does in his book, The Genius of Israel. And he somewhere in the book, I forget who says this, it's a little country with a big story. America has become a big country. We used to be a big country with a big story. Now we're a big country with a lost story. And that's why our big country is collapsing and disuniting. We're not the United States of America anymore. We're the disuniting because we've lost our story. But where's the story learned? Where's the story remembered? Where's the story best told? And this is one of the things I really appreciate the authors coming up with this. And they attribute the ability of Israelis to think in we, not in I, but in we categories, and for their creativity and mental health and mental wellness and lack of depression, all that stuff, they attribute it to over 70% of the Jewish population every Friday night shares a Shabbat meal together. In other words, almost the whole nation, between 70 and 80%, gather together in extended families, mothers-in-law, grandchildren, little children, and every Friday night they are at a table together and they have conversation together. They have Sobra Mesa together, after dinner conversation. They spend Friday evening together, intergenerationally. Friends, family, strangers even. Observant, non-observant, secular, they're all there because they're all part of the Jewish family. And they're blended religiously and ethnically, and they join together Friday night around a meal. And it's that meal, the authors point out, is what forms the glue, or we call it the civil religion, that binds the people together. Another appeal in this story for bringing back the table, for multi-generational worship, for multi-generational ministry. If you have a mission trip and only one generation is going, shame on you. Every mission trip ought to be a multi-generational, intergenerational mission trip. Relationships are forged and formed for life on these mission trips. Don't waste them by just having one generation go. Have multiple generations go. Make it a meal time. And here we have, in this story, early in Mark's gospel, of Simon's mother-in-law teaching us what it means to be a follower of Jesus. Bring back the table. The original sin is solo eating. Eve ate without Adam. We need to eat together so we can live together, so we can love together.